Growing plants without soil is a counterintuitive approach. But surprisingly, hydroponic techniques, which consist in growing plants directly in water, have existed for a long time. From the Hanging Garden of Babylon to ancient Egyptian techniques, this soilless method of farming stuck around and is still used in our modern societies. Today, we will see 7 advantages of hydroponics that might explain why this practice is still of actuality and is gaining popularity among farmers and gardeners. Now let's review one by one the advantages of hydroponics. The first advantage is the optimization of the plant requirements. As we saw in our previous video, plants require water, light, oxygen, nutrients, and root supports to grow. In hydroponics, each of these elements can be fine-tuned to suit the specific needs of each plant. For example, as a plant grows, its light and nutrients requirements changes. Tomato plant, for instance, requires a DLI, which refers to the type and quantity of light a plant needs every day, between 6 to 8, when it is a seedling, but this increases up to a DLI between 22 and 30 in adulthood. Similarly, phosphorus becomes more important for tomato plants as it enters its fruiting period, and therefore, at that time, the nutrient mix in the water can be adjusted. The second advantage of hydroponics is the time it saves. Two things significantly reduce the labor required to manage an hydroponic system. First is automation. The management of plant requirements such as feeding frequencies, feeding quantities, light times, and others can all be automated. Although many systems do not go fully automated, some of the daily maintenance operations of plant care can be easily delegated to machineries. For example, by using a timer for switching lights on and off. The second cause of labor reduction is that there is less pests to manage and weeds to remove in hydroponic systems. Weeds are a soil-based issue, and if indoor, a hydroponic system can be more or less protected from pest invasions. The third advantage is the control of the growing season. The growing season is the months of the year in which a plant will grow. For example, most gardeners will start planting in spring, so around March, April, May, and harvest in autumn, around September, October, and November. By growing indoor in controlled conditions, a hydroponic farmer can grow crops all year long. This is particularly interesting to increase food security and reduce dependency on importations in regions where harsh climatic conditions does not allow soil farming. Related to food and water security, the fourth advantage of hydroponic farming, surprisingly, is the water savings it allows. By cycling and reusing water, an hydroponic system saves between 70 to 90% more water than soil-based farming. The only losses are due to evaporation and system leaks. These savings can contribute to food and water security in arid and semi-arid regions, where water availability and sometimes quality is limited. Having food production systems using less freshwater resources mean that more will be available for domestic uses like cooking and drinking. This is quite interesting aspect of hydroponics considering the speed at which humanity is currently depleting and polluting its freshwater resources, but this is a topic for another video. Space use is another big benefit of hydroponic farming. This is our fifth advantage. When grown in soils, plants develop extensive root systems to scavenge for nutrients, air, and water. In hydroponics, all of these are readily available to the plant, and therefore the spacing between each plant can be reduced. By combining this with vertical farming techniques, which basically grows crops on top of each other, hydroponics can significantly increase the number of heads per square meter. The low space requirement of hydroponic farming allows food production in high-density areas such as cities. This is quite interesting when we consider that right now, around 57% of the global population lives in cities and are in need of more local food supply chains. This leads us to our next advantage of hydroponic farming. Number 6, the ability to produce and distribute food locally. As we just saw, a hydroponic farm, thanks to its low space requirements, especially when it is a vertical system, can be placed in cities and supply food directly to the neighboring communities. Put simply, by cutting supply chains, locality provides more nutritive food, reduces CO2 emissions by cutting out transportation, and reduces food waste. Finally, as our seventh advantage, hydroponics techniques can have significantly higher yields than traditional farming methods. In a hydroponic system, a plant can focus entirely on growth, as all of its basic needs are met. With this accelerated growth, more crops produced per square meter, and a year-long production, a farmer or gardener can significantly increase yield. That sums it up for the advantages of hydroponics. However, nothing is perfect. So in the next video, we will review the disadvantages of this method of farming and why it is only part of the solution. If the video helped you in some way, drop a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.